Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Derp Your Hooves. So today we are on the UH-1H helicopter, and this is brought to us by Taog's Hangar on flightsim.to. It's about $33 US, and I gotta tell you, this is an impressive little helicopter. So let's go ahead and hop in it really quick and just kind of see what we got going on the inside. So lots of cockpit noise, and I've turned some of it down, and hopefully you can hear me over it. And right now we are in the military version. It comes with 3 different variants. It comes with the Iroquois with the high skids. It comes with a military version and a civilian version. Clear that master caution light. And it comes with a bunch of options on this clipboard, and some of them are different. And it comes with, of course, the surfboards. If you've ever seen Apocalypse Now, they have the surfboards, but we're not going to put it on. And it comes with a winch, and we have our antennas on here. So if you check these things, they show up, and I'm just not going to put the surfboards on. It looks kind of silly, but you know what I'll do? I'll put the winch on, and I'll put the side armament mounts on. But with these side armament mounts on, I don't see any weapons. So I haven't been able to find them. And even if I find them, I'm pretty sure they're not going to work. But you can see you got the winch, and then, you know, the side armament mounts. And again, we could put the surfboards on there, but we're just not going to right now. So let's remove those in the winch, and I uncheck those boxes, and they're gone. So that's how you add and remove the external features on this. And then it has an internal. See the exterior and interior. Oh, it's flicked my mouse too fast. And you have, you know, damage turned on, and I do have damage turned on. You could set damage turned off, but no, we have damage, and we don't have any damage right now. So it also comes with the tablet GPS, which I find really helpful because it helps you navigate. And there's a couple There's a couple other features that you can have, and let's bring the clipboard back up so we can show you. So you see right now we've got our steam gauge instrument panel, which is pretty much standard in my time. And you can find modern panel avionics, and then you can have this. Well, to be honest with you, I mean, it's great if you don't want to stare at the gauges, and it's really cool. And you know, you can put your whole, you know, your GPS stuff in here, and it gives you your nearest airport. So it really is helpful. But we're going to do this a little more old school today. So let's bring our clipboard back up. And you can do all that in the tablet GPS as well. And let's uncheck that. So we've got our GPS up on the dash, or on the instrument panel on the top of it. And we got a bunch of switches down here, fuel switch, all this other stuff. And you can see that the master caution light will always be on when you first start this helicopter. And you have to flip, where's the button, reset, and it'll go away. But I already did that. So here's what you get when you hop in the first time. It's the camera view, and I've put my custom cameras in it, and I always recommend that you put custom cameras in it so that you can access things really quickly if you need them. Like if you're flying and you're going, oh no, what's going on? Well, so besides making you sick, let's turn on the pitot heat, or the pitot heat, or whatever you say it, just so that it doesn't freeze up. And let's get going. So I would say, you know, again, you can turn the searchlight on, the landing lights on, and you can, and let's actually show that to you really quick. So it says to bind a bunch of keys, and guess what? Pony didn't do that. And you have a searchlight and a landing light. So if I did bind this, right? Landing light on and off. And you'll see, I'm going to go to the external view. Landing lights on, see that little dot right there? Landing lights off, on, off, on, off, on, off, off. But if I actually want to bring it forward, say like it's, you know, nighttime, which we can do really quick. We can just change the time, to not being that, to darkness. And you can say, oh, Pony, look, it's all dark. Well, don't worry. It's okay. You might be afraid of the dark, but I gotcha. See, nothing to worry about. We can just go up here and bring our instrument lights on for the darkness anyways. And if I hit F, see now my instrument panel's all lit up. Like I said, it's like I want to see the actual landing light up. Well, it's going to light up that way only if I flick that one switch. See? Watch, let's go to the outside. Light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. But if I go down here and it says you can bind a switch for it to your HUDs, go ahead and do it. I haven't done it. If I bring it back, and then I hit light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. So you kind of get the point. Now, let's go back and make it lifetime live weather. By hitting real time. And then I close out. And then let's go back up to our top view. Let's see, you're making me sick, Pony. Sorry. And let's just turn all this down because we don't need it. And it's not really going to make a difference if it's on during the day. But what's the point? And that's how you increase your, that's how you do your landing light. And that's also how you increase your instrument panel lighting when it's dark. So, let's get going to our destination. Now, let's just kind of taxi on out. And I know I showed you like the CH-47, and then I showed you like the Cohen sim. And this helicopter has skids, unlike the CH-47, which has wheels. So you've got to kind of play with it. And I've been flying this for 4 or 5 days straight, so I'm getting fairly good at it. And let's not get too overconfident because, you know, that's how you end up having problems. So let's get going to where we're going. And just kind of slowly hover on out of here, see? Gently, not too high, not too low. And we're headed the right way because the sim has set us up on the runway. And I know some people might be like, oh, well, that's kind of like cheating because you're not really, well, I'm making a YouTube video and I'm just kind of not wanting to make everything too custom. So we just go ahead and taxi off, and it will always, for the most part, spawn you if you let it default into the wind in any aircraft in the simulator. But you can always remember you can pick it your own way, but that has nothing to do with the Huey. It's just that we quick started. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to come out of New Ishigaki, and if you've watched my other YouTube videos, you know that I love this airport. But it's a great little airport, and we're also using the Bing Map updater that you can get. It's a Chinese program. It's free. And if you say, well, what do you mean? Well, it actually, believe it or not, it kind of enhances the Bing Maps that are in the sim for free. And the program is free for the most part. I know it has an option to, like, you can pay for the premium Google Maps if you want to do it that way, but we're using the Bing Maps. And to be honest with you, it makes a huge difference in the way the sim is. I mean, just trust me. You may not think it, but on top of the Rex AccuSeason stuff that I have in here, and that combined, I'm getting really good scenery here for helicopters. And I mean, that's kind of important when you're flying in helicopters, because you're flying low. You're not flying, you know, tube liners or the airliners. and you're not flying high up. I mean, this Huey apparently has like a service ceiling of like 10.5 or something, and that's not a whole lot. And it really doesn't have a max. It doesn't have a really long range either. But that's okay. I mean, it's an older helicopter. So, and you might say, well, gee, Pony, that doesn't look all that great with all the trees all scattered like that. And, well, you know, I guess that's just kind of how it looks in real life. And again, for anyone who knows me, I use a lot of third-party freeware scenery, and this airport here is freeware, and I think I've included it in the description of my other videos. You just kind of float around in a helicopter. This is stuff you can't do in a fixed-wing aircraft, and just kind of exploring the scenery. And I mean, that's what I'm saying, sometimes you can get some really good third-party scenery, and it's freeware, donationware. And as I always say, if you want to help the artists out, the content creators that make these things, if you go on flightsim.to, you can always donate whatever you want if they're not charging for it. And that one right there, the Ishigaki Island Airport, Ishigaki, is pretty much free, and it's the option of donation. You know, remember, you know, content creators spend a lot of time and a lot of effort doing it, and when they don't ask, you know, it's up to you if you ever want to donate. So we're just going to kind of look around here because there's no autopilot on the Huey, and I have made one small modification to it. Well, two small modifications, but they're all livery modifications. They have nothing to do with the flight model. And I've added clear glass, and I've also added a better, the upper windows, I've fixed the tint on them. Whoa, Pony, don't do that too long. You might say, well, did you? And I'd say, well, it matches the paint scheme that I made, which is kind of like a Japanese ground self-defense force version that I really liked, and I just did that. But I retinted the windows that were above the pilots because, well, I just wanted to clean it up a little bit. Excuse me. Hiccups, as always. So it doesn't affect the flight model at all. It's just I took all the scratches off the windows and did that. So this thing flies like amazing. I mean, for helicopters. And the CH-47, this is not the CH-47. The CH-47 also flies amazing. This helicopter flies pretty good. Takes a little bit of practice to getting used to. And again, I'm not so sure how we would say it flies realistically compared to the Huey. I have noticed that sometimes I can give it a really hard landing. And, well, you know, it won't really crash, but it will crash if I just, you know, drop the collective at, say, like, I don't know, 2,000 feet and just let go. It will plummet to the ground like a helicopter should. And then it'll say, you know, hey, you overstressed the aircraft, blah, 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 you know, and it kills you. As long as you have the damage on. And it virtually kills you. Remember, this is a sim or a game, and you're not really going to die if you crash your sim helicopter airplane into something like a building. Alright. So, I guess this is kind of a doubleheader because we're also using the, and I'm impressed, we're using the updated Bing Maps, and I include a link for that as well. And it just kind of enhances your whole experience. And we're over old Ishigaki Airport, which is now just a landing strip, what's left of it. And just flying here over the trees. And see, that's, I guess, where old Ishigaki was. And, no. I don't think that's in the sim. I mean, it is like that, but anyhow. And yeah. I mean, we got some generic buildings and stuff. So, we're just kind of flying along here. We'll just kind of do the external view. And do it from behind because it's easier. And, I mean, the Huey is it's a big helicopter. It's not really like it's not like a 407. I mean, again, this is, one of the helicopters that was used in the Vietnam War. Heavily used in the Vietnam War. And it's been used in other wars and conflicts, especially by the U.S. Army. I don't think they fly it actively right now. Last time I checked, I looked on Wikipedia, and I think it's no longer in use with the United States Army. I'm sure they have some. I know the Air Force, the U.S. Air Force has one, I think. I'm sure they have more than one. This was kind of replaced by, the Black Hawk is kind of a little bit better than the Huey. But let's focus on what we're flying. So, I like it. I mean, again, I think it's a really nice helicopter. And it gives us some great views, and I can go ahead and fly with the doors open if I wanted to. Alright, now we don't. And we're just gonna kind of truck on here over across on the ocean. And just kind of enjoy some of our scenery around us. So maybe we'll do this from the outside without crashing, Pony. There we go. From the outside. Give you a third-party view. Not easy to fly helicopters in a third-party view. Sometimes it's not even easy to fly fixed-wing aircraft in a third-party view. So I have the infrared suppressor, which is that big tail thing right there off the exhaust. That's also an option on the clipboard that you can turn on and turn off. And I mean, really, this is pretty much it for what it does. I haven't tried to see if the firefighting equipment works or the Bambi bucket. I've just been happy flying around and just having fun with it. Now, I hear, surprisingly enough, that the cockpit sounds are fairly realistic, if not pretty accurate, from what I've heard of some of the reviews. Again, I've never really flown in a Huey, and there are plenty of people that are alive that have. We're not talking something that's so old it's World War II. So this was one of the early helicopters used by the American Armed Forces. Again, manufactured by Bell Huey Hughes Aircraft. Now I believe it's just owned by Bell. And the Huey itself, actually, if you want to talk about current times, last time I saw there's like a Subaru Bell, a Subaru Huey. There's a whole new variant of this helicopter because they stopped manufacturing it in 1987, although there still are plenty that are around that are airworthy. It's just no longer in production. And again, this was the United States Army's workhorse aerial troop transport. You could, get your troops in and out of tight spaces without having to have to jump out of an airplane. And like I said, again, it was one of the primary transports in the Vietnam War for the U.S. Army, for the infantry, and, you know, other branch of the service, the Marines. So there's still lots of people that are alive from the Vietnam War that might have flown in these things. You might say, well, gee, this is kind of nostalgic, or I always wanted to fly the Huey, and how do I get it? Well, again, PC users, it's on flightsim.to. And anyone else, you know, I did make a desert livery for it that's not out there, but you can find that on flightsim.to. And, I mean, this kind of, like I said, the Japanese, air self-defense, ground self-defense force that uses it. And I don't really think they have this variation. They do have this paint scheme on the CH-47. You might say, well, that kind of looks weird. Well, I just adapted it for the Huey, because I really like it. It's kind of cool. And I know it's not wintertime when we're flying over the islands. I just like the livery or the paint scheme. So, let's hop back in the cockpit and have a look around. Now, the other thing you can do in this aircraft, or in the helicopter, is you can remove the doors and fly around with the doors off. And I know that that sometimes is a kind of a thing that I guess helicopter pilots do. I know you lose weight, but I know that it's easier to get in and out of the back if there's no doors. So you do have that option. We're not going to remove them. We're just going to leave them on as we fly along here. And up ahead is the air remote island, and I'm sure I've talked your ear off about the air remote island with the air remote cat, with the air remote, I'm guessing. Don't know how it's pronounced, which is a cat that is, well, it's on the endangered species list. Little house cat looking thing, kind of a cool cat. And again, you just can't own it. It's on the endangered species list, so you're not allowed to own one. You're not allowed to come over to the island and go take one. You know, I hear vets kind of frown on it. And, I mean, that's just not cool. But there aren't a whole lot left in the world. Anyhow, so that's Air Remote Island, or Air Remote Island in front of us. And we're kind of not in a highly populated area of Japan. This is kind of the most southernmost tip of the Japanese islands. And I really wouldn't want to fly them all in the Huey. No offense, it's a great helicopter. But at about 120 knots, that's about as far as you can push it. And right now there's no real damage if I do it, but I can get it up. You see we're going above 100 knots. And I've flown at about 120. And the helicopter is drooping to the left because I believe we're stalling out the left-hand side, which is something turns out happens in helicopters when the blades rotate around. Sometimes you can actually just stall out one side of the helicopter and it will just lean, and you can sit there and try and adjust the trim, but it just won't do much because you're actually stalling out one side of the aircraft. So here we are, Air Multi-Island, and again, it's just beautiful this way. So we're just gonna go ahead and fly over the island, and there is a helipad coming up. I mean, it is a helicopter, so again, we don't really need a runway or even a helipad to land a helicopter. You just need a swatch of ground that is large enough, and these empty fields certainly are large enough, to just bring it down. And you use your vertical speed gauge, and you're very careful that you don't plummet, so we pull up on the collective as we descend so we don't die. And we make sure we're level, and again, gentle, gentle, pony, gentle, 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 don't clunk it. And we're down. And there we are, down on the ground. So again, you don't really need a helipad in a helicopter. You just need a place to put it down that doesn't have a lot of trees so you don't crash. But let's continue on, because there is an actual emergency helipad on this island, and that's where I want to go. So we'll just keep on going. And trim the nose down a little bit. And I don't want any assists on. I want to fly this manually. We're just going to kind of clear the treetops here. And find our helipad. Look, there's a road. We can follow the road. And I kind of remember where it is. It shouldn't be up here. It should be all the way off in the distance where you see the kind of the base of the hills and the ocean off to our left. And I'm just going to gently roll it to the left, so I'm not actually stalling the helicopter. Now you might say, Pony, how do you know this thing goes 120 knots? Well, it'll do over 120 knots. I was actually flying with some people not too long ago on a live stream. And I will say, if you ever want to check out some live streams, one of them on Twitch, especially if you're into like GA stuff, and now he's actually getting back into some DCS stuff, which is kind of cool. But if you want the Microsoft Flight Simulator, he likes to do a lot of bush. So recently, and that's who I was flying with, he was flying the 172s. And, you know, to be honest with you, this Huey actually keeps up with the Cessna 172. You're pushing it to its limits, but again, it does keep up with some smaller GA planes. So it's actually kind of a, you know, very robust helicopter. So I'm not sure how this is going to pan out for Microsoft 2024 that's coming out. I know some people have been kind of hesitant about buying aircraft because they're like, well, I mean, is it gonna work with the new setup? And from what I'm hearing from a lot of developers, the answer to that question is, well, yes. There have been lots of developers that are making sure that their models are good to go so that they can be used in the new sim, and some of them are tweaking them for whatever needs to be done. But that's another story for another day. And hopefully, with this Huey, we will have it modified. You know, and I hate to say it, but you'd say, but why, Pony? Well, because unfortunately money doesn't grow on trees, and that's true, it doesn't grow on trees. That's research altogether different. But no, you'll find out that money does not, necessarily the paper that money comes from is not from trees. And anyhow, I mean, that's the total side tangent there. No, because, you know, I mean, for example, I just spent, what, $33 on this helicopter? And then let's say, like Pony probably will, get Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and we've been told that a lot of our aircraft, so the ones in the marketplace obviously should all be transferable, but the third-party ones, well, I have no idea how much I've spent on aircraft, and I really don't want to know more than I should have. And so you just say, well, I mean, of course I'm going to buy some of the new aircraft and the new sim, but I want to be able to fly everything I can fly right now that I bought. I don't want to have to buy another F-14. I don't want to have to buy another Huey, unless it's better. Right? If it's better, then maybe I'll do it. Or maybe you're just like, no, I like this one. So I'm fairly confident that even this developer will make the Huey so that it works in the next 2024 version. And there's our helipad, that little square right over there. And again, if you look at your vertical speed gauge, which is underneath your altimeter, sitting there on the right side of the instrument panel, we just want to make sure it's not too nose down, but we are traveling at about 40 knots, which is about as much as I want as I try and land on this helipad in one movement. And again, I mean, I've been flying this thing like almost non-stop with my free time. That's how much I like it the past 4 or 5 days, so let's see how well I do. Because I want to get it right on the H in one floppity-doo. And right about there. And that's what I'm saying. You can kind of actually land this thing kind of hard. Ooh, look at that pony. Pretty close. Not totally center, but still not bad. And, you know, some of the other helicopters in the sim will not let you do that. And I guess in real life I could have damaged the skids if I did that, but, you know, again, it's a game, it's a simulator, and yes, I do have the damage turned on. So let's just go ahead, because we've hit our destination, which also means that we've arrived towards the end of the video, and let's just shut her down. So we're going to zoom in. I'm actually going to roll my collective out. And we're going to turn the fuel valve off. And are you ready? Yeah. And the caution light comes on. So we're going to go here to the low RPM and flip that to get rid of that. And then to get rid of our caution reset. Well, no, the RPM light's still on, but the caution reset's off. And then we're going to go up north here, turn off our pitot, and we're going to turn to our main generator and turn that switch to off. Close the cover, put this on battery, and the standby generator should be off in the middle position. And we're just going to turn that. That was on, now it's off. Battery to off. Inverter to off. And then we get that noise, which is basically the turbine dying out. Now the manual says that you're supposed to let this helicopter idle for 2 minutes in real life. And as you can tell, Pony did not do that. And this right here is going to be our rotor brake, but we're going to wait to apply the rotor brake. Let's just go ahead and sit in the back seat for a minute on the bench. And open our side door. Right there. And just kind of zoom out. Right? There we go. There's the outside of the Huey. So, I mean, I would say that I would give this helicopter 5 stars, and let's just go back in and get rid of all the lights that are on. And what was it? 4 is up. So anti-collision to off. That's fine. To off. Those are off. So that should be it. If I go back to the outside, I should no longer have a beacon light. And I mean, that's it. This is the Huey. And I'm just not going to apply the rotor brake right now, and I don't think you can hide the 2 pilots. And I left the military pilots in for the military livery. So I've been enjoying it. I think you might enjoy it too. If you like helicopters, it's not terribly difficult to fly. It's definitely one of the easier ones. Some of the Cohen Sim helicopters are a little more touchy and require a little bit more skill and practice. This, pretty much you can get it from the get-go. So again, I'm just going to say, what a great helicopter. Let's go ahead and hit the rotor brake, and then you'll see that we won't have any more caution lights. We won't even have a GPS. So we just apply the rotor brake. I say the RPMs are low enough. And you'll see this is a 2-blade helicopter, not like the modern 4 blades. And again, like the 406 Jet Ranger, again, that's by Cohen Sim, not by Taog's Hangar or Taog's Hangar, is also a 2-blade helicopter. But it's my understanding that a lot of modern helicopters of the 2000s are 3-blade, 4-blade. See, it's got 2 blades and the counterbalance on the top. And look at that pony. You rotor braked it with the blades out. I could say someone like Flights by Joel or Flights with Joel would say, that's not great. You know, you didn't do it with the blades on top. Not that he would get all mad about it. And so you see my GPS is off. The master caution light is on. And again, we just flip it and it goes away. And let's see. Cockpit view. I know it fights with you. And you can open the door. Right? So I can open the pilot door. I can open the co-pilot door. I can open the side doors. I can open both of them. I can add or remove the antennas. All kinds of cool things. Oh, but there's one thing I didn't show you. And again, I'm sorry. If you want to see the surfboards, well, I'm going to say buy the helicopter, and you'll see the surfboards. So, I want to go to exterior, and I want to open the engine bay. Engine bay right, engine bay left. Okay. And there you have the power plant, the heart of the Huey, right there. So he added lots of extra features. Now, again, I'm just going to say, this thing is so much fun to fly. So, if you're looking for something fun, you want helicopters, you want something military, you want something, really nice, can't go wrong with the Huey. So, as always, to everyone and every pony, if you like what you saw, feel free to like, share, and subscribe my videos, and subscribe to Derp Your Hooves. And remember, hey, you guys, my subscribers, I love you guys. You guys are important. You're important to me. And remember, there's also a poll going on in the community section. I want to teach you guys how to make liveries, and I told you that I'm going to do about a month. So we're got about 2 more weeks of it to see how many of you vote for a yes or a no. And if it's a yes, then there's not going to be any flight videos for a little while, but there will be a livery tutorial showing you guys how to make liveries on your own using software that, I'm sorry, is not Adobe Photoshop, but you can always apply it to Adobe Photoshop. Really easy stuff. So, I'm going to head out on, and I'm going to say, as always, thank you guys for watching Derp Your Hooves, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the skies.